welcome back to another episode of CookemUp. Your good mate, the super chef, Adam.
Thanks
for
for
having
having
me
me
butcher.
back. Yeah.
Mate, I've got a beautiful spot I'm going to take you today.
Perfect.
We're pulled over on the side of the road on our way to Teewah Beach. We're going to drag the kitchen up the beach, set her up. Beautiful camping tonight.
Perfect.
Some brekkie tomorrow morning.
No doubt, I got you.
But I'm going to add some spice myself to this trip.
Okay.
I've got some
What you
food critics.
Oh, great.
Young food critics come along.
Sweet.
Because I say I love everything. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I just want to check my taste buds are in line with everything else. Got my son Ryan and his cousin Rowan, bigger food critics. I want to know what time the sandwich is going to be ready.
This will be done in about 10 minutes.
It's a pretty flash looking sandwich.
Yeah.
Boys, you're in for a treat.
It's not quite a veg you might fold over, but I got you.
Here for the feed. Right. Get out of shot. What are we cooking today?
So I got a Wagyu Smash Burger. I'm going to walk you through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be good. All right, guys, like I said, I've got some beautiful medium ground Wagyu beef here. When you're at your butcher, super butcher hopefully, you want to do 70-30. So 70% meat, 30% fat. I know that sounds a bit extreme, but you'll see why later on. And you want your medium grind just so you've got a good texture in there. All right, I'm going to get started on the salads. All right, just with the salad onions here, the red ones, just gonna cut them nice and thin. You don't want them too big on your burger, just nice rounds as well. As you can see, they've got me a beautiful chopping board this time around. I'm not battling with those little plastic ones, which I'm stoked about. Highly recommend it. All right, just a couple there. Same with the tomato, just a couple of slices. You want probably 2 per burger. It's gonna be enough, a little bit thicker on those. But however you want to stack your burgers, fine, you know. I've also got some green oak lettuce here. If you like iceberg, that's fine. This one just looks nice. Tastes good as well. I've got some sweet spicy pickles here as well. And some American burger cheese. All right, so I got the Wagyu beef, the burger grind, like I said, medium grind. Ask your butcher, 70-30. I've just got some jackalope, the rub. This bad boy is one of my favorite for most beef applications. We used it on the Cape Grim rib fillet earlier on. So I'm just going to put about a tablespoon and a half in there and then just mix it up. We're on the side of the road. If you don't have access to water, bring some gloves along because you're going to need to use your hands again. You don't want raw meat on them. So I've got some gloves here. Keep it all nice and hygienic. Just mix it up nice and well. Right. I mean, you can do this beforehand, obviously, if you want to have it mixed up, ready to go. I always just sort of caution myself before pre-seasoning something too early. Like I've said in other episodes or other cooks, the earlier you season something, the more of the water is going to come out. You're going to dry your meat out and can make it more tough and rubbery as well. So we don't want that in our burger. So I'm just going to form these up. I've got 4 burgers to make, so I'll just split this. I've got 400 grams of meat here. I usually like to go about $1.50, so 150 grams of meat per burger. When it renders down with that fat and the loss of water weight, you're gonna have probably 100 grams on your patty, which is enough. With the buns and the dressing you've got on there as well. So why do they call it a smash burger? They call it a smash burger because when you put it in the pan, you squash it as flat as you can. The reason you do that is it creates a real nice crust. So you get like a real nice caramelized crust on the outside, beautiful burger meat on the inside. It's a cool American style way of doing a burger. The fat content, the reason I have such a high fat content in there is the fat acts as the glue at the start and also adds a bit of flavor. So it means you don't have to be adding things like egg and breadcrumbs and all those sorts of things into it.
Okay, now I get it.
Yeah, if you got a gluten-free burger bun or whatever like that, makes it gluten-free. All right, so smash in, down. Get them as flat as you can. You really want that really flat. So you notice I didn't put any oil in there. Enough is gonna come off that burger meat. You can see that oil dripping off there already. That's the fat coming out of the burger. So we wanna get that as flat as we possibly can. She looks a little bit crazy, don't worry, she'll shrink down a little bit. She's gonna fit on the bun perfectly. All right, you really want your pan nice and hot as well. Get that crust on there. And while that's going, I'm gonna get the bun started. So I've got these are milk buns, sell them at Super Butcher. Brioche bun will work well. I like these ones, they're just a little bit lighter. They don't have as much butter in it. I have buttered them. Just grill them up on the grill there. All right. Just loosen him up. The next one started. Get him in there. Now a lot of guys in the kitchens or in the burger joints, they have like a big wrought iron piece of flat metal really, with a handle on it they use to smash this down. And on a nice big flat grill. So if you've got a nice big flat barbecue, it's the perfect opportunity to use that for these ones. They'll smash down real nice. All right, see that beautiful char on there? It's as far as I'm gonna take it. Rip them off and just cup them back up together. It's gonna help them stay warm. They're gonna steam up a little bit because you got that nice crust on there. Super light burger bun, but lovely. Give them a nice smash. Get them over the flame. Like I said, your flat top barbecue is going to be your best bet for one of these. Or if you've got a flat top grill at home, perfect. Pan on loud, all works really well. The reason I'm not using the char grill for this is if I put that amount of fat onto here, you get flare-ups. And while the fire char is nice, that amount of fat's going to give them a real smoky burnt flavour, and that's really not what you want with this. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this bad boy down, put him on the cold spot of the grill, and just let him sit away from the flames. I'm going to even turn that off actually, if you don't need it on anymore, and just use it to keep the burgers warm as I cook them. All right, so I'm going to smash these other ones out and I'll be back to show you how to dress them up. All right guys, back, we've got them all cooked. They're all resting. I've just turned the Q off just to let them sit there. Like I said, there's still a bit of fat dripping off those, so you don't want them to flare up and get that nasty burnt fat flavor. Just show you how much fat is left in there. You don't have to be worried too much about the amount of fat you're purchasing because it will render off a bit, and that's good. That rendering through there is going to add flavor because you really just want it to bind there, so you don't have to add too much. You really get a nice good beef flavor through there. This is the Wagyu beef, so it's got a good bit of flavor in there. Okay, let's build some burgers. So build them however you want really. I've just got some green oak lettuce here, the tomatoes and onions that I've cut up. I've got the pickles here. I'm going to use some Berenberg chili jam and some French mustard, but build them how you like. They're your burgers. You want to put some barbecue sauce on there? Yeah, tomato sauce, maybe not. But yeah, do your thing. Just dress them up how you like. Rule of making sandwiches. Nobody knows it, but everyone should. Lettuce first, always. Always lettuce first. Just makes it hold better, sits better on the burger, and also sort of protects the bun from any of the drippings coming through, so you don't get a soggy bun. Don't say anything, Glenn.
I was going, that's why you do it.
Yeah, and then just some pickles. I'm just gonna I've got this burger cheese, while that's still a bit warm, I'm gonna slide some of that on there. Let's hopefully get them to melt on there. All right, so I'm gonna close that down there, crank them back up again, just get a little heat in there. Mostly because I forgot to melt the cheese on there. All right, so while I'm doing that, spoon, jam first, just because it's a bit harder than the Frenchie's mustard there. I always buy Frenchie's American, but if you got one you like better, Master Foods or whatever, buy Frenchie's.
Okay, we'll buy Frenchies.
No, it's just nice. I use it on burger, sorry, not burger, I use it on barbecue when I'm trying to stick rub to a brisket as well. It's just a good all-rounder. I like the flavor of it, it's good and consistent. Not that other ones aren't, I just like it. Pick whichever one you like. So a little bit of chili jam on there. Cheese is starting to melt down a little bit. We're pretty much ready to go. I'm just gonna hit the top of them with some mustard. But if you don't like mustard, don't use it, you know. There's different types as well. Hot English should be nice on this. I like a little bit of heat going on. And just slide them straight on. There you go. One Wagyu Smash Burger. Oh, who else hungry, yeah?
Oh yeah.
All right, come on up.
Don't push in, boys. Know your place.
All right, grab one of those.
Oh, thank you.
No worries. All right, quick feed you already?
Yeah, assume position, leg spread.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit drippy.
That mix of chili jam.
Yep.
And that mustard.
Yeah. Good little combo.
Oh yeah, it's very good.
I like your taste buds are on point. This is delicious.
Yeah. Taste is unreal.
Everything's banging around. If you lads weren't here, we'd have seconds. Well, it's nice and quick, Adam.
Sweet.
We'll hoover these down, let the tyres down, hit the beach, and set up for a couple of hours while you get ready for them.
Sweet, get ready
Piece
for
de
dinner.
resistance.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to cook this one for y'all, so can't wait. See you at the beach, yeah?
See you there. Hey Adam, I hear this is your first time on the beach, mate.
Certainly is. It's a magic place to be and a magic place to do it.
Well, this is Teewah Beach, or Double Island, a lot of people call it. It's a magical spot. There's some nice camp spots, about 20 minutes drive up the beach. But have a look how much beach we've got to drive on.
Mate, it's endless and it's like flat. It's beautiful.
Well, they've certainly turned it on, mate. This beach is beautiful for your first time. But mate, looking forward to getting to camp, kicking back, and salivating ready for dinner tonight.
Yeah, I got something special. I've been looking forward to this, cook.
Yeah, cool, mate. Oh, well, we've got the young lads with us, so once we get there, mate, we'll shoot them out, get some beach worms, and hopefully catch a nice big trevally or some tailor. And you can show us your wizardry, mate, with a knife and cooking those bad boys up.
Sounds good, mate. Sounds like they got entrees covered.
Cool. Righto. Kick back and enjoy, mate.
All right, guys, we had a nice drive in on the beach. No luck with the entrees. Big fail there. So I'm going to get straight into mains this evening. So Cape Grim beef cheek. Very tough muscle, so we're going to cook it low and slow in the camp oven. All right, so I'm just going to get started on the veg prep area of it, so when I get stuck into the meat, I can kill the board and get rid of it, so we're not doing any sort of dangerous cross-contamination. Not a big deal in this situation because everything is going to be cooked, so if you mess it up, don't worry, it's going to get cooked, but I always like to encourage proper hygiene when you're cooking, especially in situations out in the bush. You really don't want to be dealing with any sort of sickness while you're in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, just nice medium dice on your onions there. This one's left over from lunchtime, so I just got a Spanish onion, but brown onion's fine. Well, it's what I'd go for with this dish, really. Smash through those onions again. So I've got the onions ready to go. I'm just going to pull them off the board, sit them out of the way. That's everything we need to get ready to go that's raw. Now I'm just going to walk you through trimming up your beef cheeks. Now I've had these out. I'll talk about this every time we talk about beef. I've had this out of the fridge for at least an hour. With these slow cooks, it's not as imperative, but it's always a good habit to get into just because of the disparity of heat and hot and cold when you're cooking. So we've got two big beef cheeks. These are Cape Grim, so Tasmanian beef, grass-fed, lots of flavor. And you got to think about the cheek muscle. It's one of the more used muscles in a cow, so it's going to be really tough. But the more muscles used, the more flavor it's going to have. So in a dish like this, in a ragu, it's going to be beautiful in its flavor. It's going to add a lot of depth to the dish. So I'm just going to trim off the silver skin or the sinew. You can see there's nothing on the back here. You can see how coarse the grain is there, and you can feel how tough the meat is. So I'm going to take it away from yourself, get your knife up in there, and just carefully pull that sinew off, yeah? Because it's not really going to cook away. It's sort of always going to be there, so we want to take it off as much as we can. You're not going to be able to get all of it, but as much as you possibly can. And like I said before in earlier cooks, keep the knife facing up towards the sinew, and that'll just you'll lose the minimal amount of meat then. You'll just be taking off that silver skin. That's what you want. Just trim it off nice and even, get it off the back end there as well. We'll do that with both cheeks. So all we got is predominantly the muscle, and that's what's going to cook down beautifully. Nice, happy with that. Another thing you can do when you're cooking these beef cheeks, you can leave them whole, or sometimes if you're in a pinch, you can trim them down a little bit, just to sort of speed up the cooking process. You're not really going to speed it up. Mostly if I'm going to cut it down or cut it up a bit, is just to reduce the strands of meat, because this is going to come out a little bit like pulled meat in a casserole sort of style. And if I cut it up, it's going to just reduce the strands on it. I'm not too fussed about the strand length. I kind of like it in a pasta dish because it sort of holds onto the pasta a little bit better. But I am going to give it a little bit of sear just to get a little bit more color on the meat. So I'm just cut it into 3 on both of them. And then when I put them in the camp cooker in a second, it's going to give more surface area to get color. Color's flavor. As long as you don't burn it, you get a nice sear on it, it's going to be really nice. I like using the camp oven because it's cast iron, it's nice and thick. It's going to get a nice good heat distribution, and you can cook sort of slow in it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to let that come to temperature, and I'm going to walk you through the building of the ragu. All right, so the camp oven's preheated. Some heat in there, that bad boy. A little bit of extra virgin olive oil, just a touch. We're going to color the beef cheeks first. We really want a nice sear on those. A little bit of salt, pepper. So I've got some cracked pepper here. Salt. Like I said, this Murray River stuff is really flaky. It looks like I'm using a lot, but it's really not that much. Give it a real good color on that before we turn it. Then we're just going to pull it out, let it rest, and get the onions, garlic, everything else ready for the base of the sauce, and move on from there. Color is super important. If you don't give the meat any color at this point, you're just really going to end up with a stewed meat flavor. And though it seems like that's what you're doing, you really want that almost steak flavor, and you're not going to get that without a good sear. So for that extra level, or that extra dimension in your ragu, you really got to give that meat a nice coloring up at the start. Beautiful. A bit more salt and pepper just on the other side of it. We will have to adjust the seasoning at the end. This isn't enough to season the sauce by any means. Just trying to get some seasoning into the meat at the start. So I've just got a plate here. I'm going to pull the meat out. Got a nice sear on the meat there, good color. Then we're going to move to cooking the base of the sauce. So let some heat get back into the base of the pan. A little bit more olive oil. We want all that color in there as well. So that's why we sear the meat in the same pan that we're going to cook the sauce in. Because the sauce and the meat is all going to become one. You'll see in a second. Those onions in there. There you go. Nice sear on those onions. The onions are no different. They need a little color. Don't burn them, please. Burning is not caramelizing. So you just want to soften them up, get a little color on there. And once those onions are soft and the garlic goes in, we'll give that a little color. Probably 2 tablespoons of garlic. Now at this point, I'm going to add the fennel. So I've got whole fennel seeds here, dried whole fennel seeds. They're a bit woody, so you want to add them early. They're not like basil, dried basil or fresh basil, where you want to add that towards the end of your cook. They're quite woody, so you want to get them in there quite early so they can absorb some of the moisture and soften up. But you also want them to fragrant your dish at the very start, because they do have a lot of punchy flavor. It's sort of an aniseedy sort of flavor, and it does add a definite dimension to the flavor profile of this sauce. You probably want, I'm gonna say a level teaspoon of fennel seeds, so I'm gonna touch more there. And just get them moving with the onions. The onions are gonna absorb a little bit of that flavor, and the fennel seeds are gonna start softening quite early. You're also gonna benefit from the heat from the base of the pan. You can already smell those fennel seeds. As soon as they go in, they're gonna start releasing flavor. but the onions are starting to soften up nicely. You really want to take that crunch out of them at the start there. You want to really transfer that into the sweet profile of the onion by cooking them out. All right, so we're good to add 2 tablespoons. Don't be shy. Garlic's going to marry up very well with this dish. But just know as soon as you add the garlic, you're on a time crunch then, because it will burn. But pay attention to it at this point. The very start of making this sauce is where you need the attention. And as soon as we transfer it over to the fire, you're just going to stir it every 30 minutes, 20, 30 minutes or so, just to make sure it's not catching on the bottom. But right now, we really want to make sure we don't mess it up, because any burnt or bitter flavors are going to permeate through our ragu. Just give that probably 2-3 minutes. That garlic to start taking some color, and get that also, same as a onion, get that bitterness out of there. You start transferring into that sweet side of the onion and the garlic profile. That's where we want to be. Just got some whole cracked pepper here as well I'm going to add. Just a ½ teaspoon at the start. Same reason, it's quite a woody, sort of hard texture. Give it as much opportunity to soften up and permeate our sauce. You can already smell all those flavors starting to marry up. And for this dish, I'm going to choose, I've got a Shiraz here, but you want any full body wine. Cab Sav, maybe a GSM if you really want to. But Shiraz is usually your go-to. Something peppery is going to be good. So the last herb I'm going to add is the oregano. I don't want to add it too soon. I mean, it's not going to be the end of the world if you add it now before you add the red wine. You're just going to lose a little bit of its flavor. So I'm going to add it when I add the tomatoes. And like I said, the tomatoes have already got herbs in them. I just want that little extra from the oregano in this dish. All right, we've got a nice color there. You can smell all that bitterness has come out of the garlic and the onions. So I've got our full bottle. I'm going to add not quite half. There we go. And we're going to really let that reduce. It's going to take about probably 10 minutes to reduce that. And then we're going to crack on with the rest of it. All right, guys, this is reduced down perfectly. Dropped it by about 2/3. So I'm just going to reintroduce the beef cheek now. I'm going to sprinkle that with a little bit of the oregano. The reason I'm pumping it in my hand first is just heavy-handedness. You don't really want to dump half a jar of oregano in there. I've got about 2 tablespoons there, 1.5 tablespoons. It's going to be enough because, like I said, the tomatoes already have herbs in them, so you don't want to go too crazy. You really want the fennel to come through as well. Give that a stir back into the juice. All right, nice and glazed. You can smell that red wine. Let's glaze that up. So just your tomatoes now. Don't throw the cans away as soon as you've opened them up. I'll show you why. So we've got 3 tins of tomatoes. These are 400 grammies. One of the other brilliant things about this zone, so I've got a tap right here. So you're just going to rinse some of that, or all that tomato out, and introduce a bit more liquid, because you do want, this is going to take every bit of 2.5–3 hours to cook, because that beef cheek really is a tough muscle, but it's going to be worth every minute of the waiting and all the preparation. All right, so we've got those all in. Just give it a stir, pull the beef cheeks off the bottom a little bit, get the tomato all around it. All right, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Then we're going to put the lid on that bad boy and take him over to the coals on the fire. We'll bring him up to boil first, then we'll put the lid on it. Take him over to the coals on the fire. A little bit of fresh cracked pepper. Perfect. As soon as she comes to boil, we'll lid that bad boy. Let it cook. All right, Glenn, you want to give me some coals, my man?
Certainly can, mate.
Sweet, I've got this ragu coming over. All right. Oh yeah, you've got them going again for me, my man.
Look at this goodness.
Mate, it's no doubt about it. You got a fire in your up your sleeves.
That, my friend,
All right,
is going to cook goodness.
perfect. So I've just started the ragu, probably about half an hour, just to get it ready while we're waiting for the coals. Just bubbling away on the coals there. Probably
Ready to
about
get this fire
20
going.
minutes before she's ready. I'm gonna go get some water boiling and cook some pasta. See you then. All right, guys. Thanks for the wait.
Is it dinner time?
It is dinner time. All right, so I've just cooked the pappardelle pasta. I got some Guzzi's pasta. You can get it from your Woolies or your Coles. So all I'm gonna do is portion up the pasta tonight. I've got the ragu. Oh, she's ready to go. Beautiful
Look at
ragu there. Cooked out. She's been taking a little bit longer than I thought. She'd be about 3.5 hours, but if you give yourself that time, you're not gonna be disappointed. All right, so just gonna pump out a nice portion of pasta for each plate. So the reason I like the pappardelle for this dish, because it's quite a wide pasta. I think it's a bit warm to touch, but it's quite a wide pasta and it's gonna hold onto the sauce really well. All right, and this other little bowl I've got over here, it's just some Parmesan cheese. You can fresh grate it if you've got the facilities in your campsite, but I just got some grated stuff here. Some of that beautiful, rich red wine, tomatoes, fennel, herbs, and 3.5 hours of just slow cooking.
Which is perfect for camping.
Yeah, and all you got to do is once you know your ragu's ready, you can feel the meat's released. By that I mean it'll get really, really tough, and then after that it will just all of a sudden get soft and pulled. It'll be like almost pulled meat inside your sauce here. Nice amount of Parmesan cheese on top. All right, let's get stuck in.
Worth the wait.
All right.
Melts in your mouth.
A little bit of time in the old ragu, but definitely doesn't disappoint.
Oh, not wrong about that pasta.
Yeah, it sort of holds onto the sauce, doesn't it?
That
Yeah.
beef cheek just melts in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's got good flavour too.
Yeah. So like I said, because the cheek is it's a muscle that's used so much, it retains a lot of flavour.
Yeah.
But that's why it takes so long to cook.
Oh.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So I used to sell this at the restaurant just under $40 a plate. If you can do $40, this would have cost half that. 4 portions. Pacific Ocean's 20-meter walk from us right now. Cooked it over a fire. Some good company.
$100 worth of wine.
No pressure.
Perfect.
Alrighty guys, here we are at the beautiful Noosa North Shore. Out here on the picturesque beach here, we've had a beautiful sunrise this morning. So I'm gonna get some breakfast going for us. Cafe Quesadilla, one of the wins I used to have back in my cafe days. So I'm just gonna get started this morning with the bean mix for it. Yeah, so I've just got some onions in the pot here on a medium dice. I'm just gonna get them moving with a little bit of vegetable oil. Probably about a teaspoon. I've got some tin tomatoes and some tin pinto beans, but you can use whatever beans you like. If I was going to use not pinto beans, I'd be using something like a kidney bean, or even a 5-bean mix if you want. That'll work out nicely. When those onions are nice and soft, I'm going to add some spices to it. I'm going to add a little bit of cayenne, a little bit of sweet paprika, to get those flavors going in there. Now, when you add the cayenne pepper, be super careful, because a 1/4 teaspoon can change it from being nice and spicy to being inedible. Stuff's really violent. So for this amount of beans, I'm only going to add like 1/8 teaspoon. It is quite hot. Just a nice little mound like that is going to be enough. Always like to have a little bit of spice in the morning, so I've got some backup of the old bones over here to finish off as well. And remember, you can always add, you can't take away. So a little bit at the start if you want to adjust it. You can add a little bit more at the end. It's also handy to have a nice spicy finishing sauce if you want some more spice as well. Got some sweet paprika here. Just going to add probably half a tablespoon. Yeah, perfect. That's just going to give it those flavors you're familiar with when you're thinking about any Mexican dish. You can add some cumin in here as well if you like. And just keep an eye on it. Now that you've got those spices in there, they can burn, or they will burn. So just keep it moving. And just when you get a little color on it, you're going to add probably 2 tablespoons worth of sugar. Oh, scratch that, 1 tablespoon worth of sugar. 2 tablespoons would be too sweet. Yeah, so it'll almost start having like a toffee apple almost look to it. That's really what you want. Just keep pulling those spices off the bottom of the pan. You don't want them to burn. All right, so we should be ready for our beans. Those pinto beans should be nice and drained now. Put them straight on top. And those tomatoes as well. Just going to do half a tin, save them for later. And then bring that up to the boil. You want to cook that out for about 10 minutes. Then once she's ready, we'll start building our quesadillas. Alrighty guys, it's been about 8-9 minutes and that's reduced right down. You can sort of see it's not really liquidy anymore, it's come together. Alright, so we'll move on, we'll put that to the side. We'll start warming our pan up for our quesadillas. It's a nice sized pan there. While we're doing that as well, I've just got the Gully's bacon. I've taken the rind off it. I never really cook with the rind. It's really hard to get the rind nice and crispy without destroying your bacon. So I'm just gonna grill that. The way we're going to build them, we've got a pan warming up here. Just a touch of oil in the pan, not too much. We're going to go 1 tortilla on the bottom. Let them warm up. You've got to be sort of fast with this bit because you don't want the bottom tortilla to start burning before you get the top one on. Bit of cheese on the bottom there. I just got a grated tasty here, but you can do a pizza blend if you like. If you want that extra stretch out of the mozzarella, or even a straight mozzarella if you like. I like the flavor of a tasty cheese. You're just gonna spread that out. Now traditionally a quesadilla is like a folded tortilla, but I'm gonna stack it. I like it as a nice base on the plate. You don't have to fill it up too much because by the time you get your egg on there, your bacon on there, your pico on there, it gets to be quite a big dish. So a little bit more cheese on top. The cheese is also going to help it bind together when it grills. So I've got 4 of us here today. So I'm just going to do this in batches. Once the bacon's cooked, move it off to the coldest spot of the grill. And once it's all done, like I said, turn it off. And then I'll take the quesadilla out of here after I flip it and leave it in here to keep warm. And just keep going through in batches like that. So while I'm cooking that, I'll just show you here. I've got some diced tomato, fine diced Spanish onion, and some coriander. This is the more traditional style pico de gallo, or fresh salsa, Mexican style salsa. We made it episode 1 with burnt corn and cooked pineapple. Same technique. So you just mix that up. And remember, don't season it to the very end until you're just about to use it. It's your nice little salsa there. A little bit crispy on there. So you really want, because the beans are already warm, it's going to help the cheese melt. So you're just really looking for a crisp on that tortilla. And once she's crispy, we'll slide them in to keep warm. Get those eggs all whipped up, ready to go for your pan. Because once the quesadillas are cooked, you're ready to cook your eggs. Everything's going to be ready to go. You've got your pico ready, you've got your bacon ready. So it's the 12 eggs and the milk. So you season at the very end. All right, so this first one's just about ready. Yeah, she's getting nice and toasty there. Just flip it back over for a second. All right, now I've got that turned off and the bacon's staying warm. I'm just gonna get through these in batches and I'll see you again in a sec. I wanna cook the eggs out and plate it up. Alrighty guys, so I finished off doing the quesadillas. The bacon's in here staying warm. I'm just gonna keep that down so it stays warm. I'm gonna use the same pan, I just wiped it out to cook our scrambled eggs. So I've just, like I said, I got a dozen eggs in here, half a cup of milk. That's all I need at the moment, just whipped them up. I'm just gonna cook it in batches. This pan's gonna be enough to cook probably a third at a time. Nice, then I'll just transfer it over to the plate over here. Super fast here, I've got some salt ready to go. Salt it now. Perfect. Look at the egg. Quick as you can. Before she's finished, pump it with a bit of pepper. Nice. Beautiful. Now, just get them cooked, tip them out. They'll stay warm, they'll keep cooking in that pan there, on that plate there. And we'll wipe out, go again. Yeah, should have this done real quick as that pan comes back to heat. Eggs in. Nice. Just keep them moving. Salt, pepper. Last batch. Just tip them right on top, the other ones, just keep them warm. All right guys, time to build it. So we've got our quesadillas staying in here warm. Slide them on the plate. We'll grab some eggs. Just on top. Some bacon. All right, then we'll finish off with some of that pico. All right. Just a nice little bit across the top. All right, so just finish with a little lime wedge here. Squeeze that over the top when you're ready to eat. I just got some coriander here as well. If you don't like coriander, like I said in a previous episode, you could swap this out for parsley, but if you're into it, it's the right flavors. All right, Glenn, you want to give us a hand and dish this up, my man?
Be my pleasure.
All right.
Whooshka.
Whooshka.
Give that to the lads, eh?
No worries.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Go, Glenn.
Cheers, mate.
No worries at all.
This looks the goods, mate.
Oh man, there's some old bones there if you want it.
There's a few drops of this. Is that all we need?
Yeah, a couple. I'll give it a try first. You boys, the beans have got a bit of heat in them.
Holy dooly. That chili does too.
Yeah, it's some good gear.
This is pretty special. You boys are getting spoilt rotten.
Oh,
This is so fresh. You just taste it. It's just. That's what I love about your cooking, Adam. All fresh ingredients. No preservatives. I actually feel amazing.
Good taco? How you guys going over there?
Natural
yeah,
flavours.
good.
Just fill you up, boys?
All right.
Yeah. Seconds of mine.
I go back for thirds.
Well, how's that? Another beautiful bunch of recipes cooked by the super chef Adam. The boys loved it. It's great to have them along. That concludes our episode of Cook 'em Up. Stick around for another one. See you soon.
Thanks guys, see you soon.
Cheers, mate. It's bloody beautiful.
My pleasure. G'day guys, Adam here from Super Butcher. If you want to impress your mates and take your cooking to the next level, just go on to superbutcher.com.au, select your postcode, we deliver to your door. Any of the products you've seen on our shows.